Guess who got brands talking? Brandlive.co.za.
Welcome to the Financial Independence Coach, naturally creating freedom, meaning, and wealth. Brought to you by Yefo Pty Ltd, in association with Brandlive.co.za. And here is your host and coach, Yvonne E. Ventilo.
Good morning, Brand Live listeners and Yefo Pty Ltd subscribers. Yes, it's Monday morning again, 10:30 here at 27 Boxes in Melville, and it looks like a glorious sunny day. Today, we are privileged to have in studio with us Dr. Michelle Phan. Welcome, Dr. Michelle.
Thank you very much for having me here this morning. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure to have you here. Now, Dr. Michelle, I invited you to our show today for several reasons. First of all, tell us about your doctorate.
Awesome. Many years ago, I realized that most of people fit into this space of management, and very few people transition into leadership. And so I started doing a whole lot of work with John Maxwell and thoroughly enjoyed it. And then suddenly somebody one day said, you know what, maybe you need to get your doctorate in leadership and management. I was like, why would I do that? So I actually did. And after the age of 50, got my PhD in leadership and management. And the thesis was actually a very interesting thesis that I ended up doing. Very interesting. So the title was The Behavior of Women in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, which was extremely, extremely interesting to find that women are trying to lead like men as opposed to trying to lead as women. And I would like to suggest that every woman that is listening, that is in any leadership position or has a team that they have to lead, to go back and look at the qualities of a woman and why we are the cornerstone of society and why the Lord, good Lord, gave us the opportunity to give birth to children because of certain aspects that we have.
Yes.
And yet we don't want to use those aspects in the corporate environment because we feel we have to compete with men when we've been designed to complete them. And so that was very interesting.
Yeah, it comes back to that saying, if you want to run with the big dogs, you can't cry like a puppy kind of thing. I mean, there's also the saying of if you want to see peace in the world, just put female in politician leadership.
Absolutely, if they provided to behave as women. And us as women leaders are very, very, we have something unique that men don't have. And that is the art of, I'm not saying now I'm generalizing, okay, overall, because men do have some of these qualities. So please don't phone in and have a go at poor old Yvonne or write to her. But generally speaking, okay, majority of women have empathy that goes deeper and understanding of where people are at, whereas majority of men look at it as from a task perspective. And we all have heard that men are from Mars and women are from Venus. But yet we're not embracing that. Majority of women are not embracing that. And then if you go and look at some really powerful leaders in the corporate space and also leaders in like India and those kind of places that have got women leaders in these positions, they have got phenomenal empathy and community, because women work as community. So teamwork's actually easier if a woman is leading than if a man is leading, because we try to always compete in the men. And I'm really generalizing. I know. But generally speaking, this happens. But women need to step up to that platform. And it's a psychological thing where we feel that we have to fight our way up the corporate ladder. And that's not necessary. Okay, we need to lead ourselves up the corporate ladder. And as we were chatting out earlier on, it's all about your mindset and your upbringing and all of your influences that's going to dictate that. So we need to make sure we're changing and renewing of that mind and those mind cells so that we understand that we don't have to fight to be in that environment, but we need to just be present and aware in that environment and lead from that perspective. And yeah, so that was a very interesting because most of the women in the Gauteng provincial legislature are actually fighting their way through there. And I've met one or two MECs, female ones, that I've actually worked with, especially in the Department of Infrastructure and Development, and done a lot of leadership training and coaching with them. And they're quality female leaders, and yet they get overlooked because they're not prepared to fight, which I think is wrong.
Yeah, it's bring us all back to returning to your natural, authentic self. Instead of trying to be something that social norm dictates that you have to be, but actually coming back to that natural self and then developing from there and leading from that perspective.
100%. And you know, it also goes a lot back down to emotional intelligence. And most, you know, when you go through the whole emotional intelligence spectrum, emotional intelligence actually stops developing when something traumatic happens in our lives. And if we look at us as South Africans, we've all been through something very traumatic, very young in our lives. So part of the whole thesis was looking at that perspective. So let's take my journey, for example. I had my son 1 month before I turned 18 years old. So I had that abuse, physically, emotionally abuse at the age of 18.
Yes.
So now you don't learn to continue to grow yourself emotionally because you're not trying to cope in this world. So now you're a young mum, you've got to get yourself into the corporate environment, you've got to earn money, the man is not paying, you know, anything at all. At all. So now you're fighting to survive. So now you're going to survival mode, so you leave the emotional intelligence behind. So I ended up being a 30-year-old before I realized this, behaving like an 18-year-old in the workplace. And so this is what's happening around us, is that we need to understand that all of this authentic self goes back to understanding, who am I? What has formulated me to this point in time, and what do I want going forward? Do I want the same, or am I going to change?
Yes.
And that's very important. And people don't spend time doing that.
Well, if I take my personal self, I mean, I went through 9 years of physical, mental, and sexual abuse in the house. I acted as an adult long before I was supposed to be an adult, and I got stuck in that space.
Yeah.
And when I had my son at 25, I suddenly realized I wanted to relive my teenage years.
Yep.
And it was only after that I realized, but hang on, you know, something between the 6 inches in my ear, between my ears, is affecting me negatively, and that's why I started my studies.
Yeah.
And to build up that development from there.
Absolutely. So the same thing happened to the two of us. So my journey of actually growing as an adult only started from the age of 30. So it took me 20 years to get my PhD, but I should have got that at sort of like from when you leave school, that 20 years sort of got it at 30, maybe 40, but delaying it because we don't know how to behave. And it takes me back to my favorite training, which is what I've learned a lot from the Blessing Association, being part of them, and Barry Mitchell's group and those guys, is that we need to work out, what is it that I want to have? Everybody wants something, but they don't understand that before they have it, there's something that they need to become. And when they become that individual, there's certain things that they need to do in order to have
that goal.
That's it. And too many of us just want, and we don't understand that it's a being that grows, which goes back to another conversation we were having outside, is that whole financial education, is that people don't know how to keep their money because they don't know how to become the person. So, for example, if you become a millionaire, and this is why people who lose their money over a lotto, because suddenly they have that R1,000,000, but they haven't learned to become an individual that knows what to do to make more with that million or to keep it. And that's a process that be do have. If people could just spend time understanding that, if I want to become a millionaire and I want R1,000,000, who do I have to become? Because millionaires are givers.
Yes,
Okay,
they are.
as well as takers.
They
And
are.
if you don't know how to give back to your community, you just take, and guess what? It's going to be taken back from you. And it's this whole mindset that
A
we've got to
whole
go through.
vicious cycle.
Yeah.
On the weekend, I had an interview with Dr. John F. DiMartini, and we had the same discussion. And he said, yeah, it's all good and well. Somebody wants that dream of being financially independent, but if you don't have the psychological mindset right for that, you can never get to that stage, and you don't understand the steps. And whilst that is a wonderful dream, if you don't have the physical matrix to measure where do you actually want to be, you can't get there.
Absolutely. So it's that daily deliberate discipline actions that we don't understand that need to take place. And because most people might start something for a week, I've got this weight loss,
Yes.
the good old
Those quick diets.
Exactly. And for 1 week and it doesn't work. Now it doesn't work, so we stop doing it. Going to the gym. How many people have got gym contracts that they've paid for? And I hope they're listening to me right now, that they know that money is going off their check account every single month, but they haven't taken the time to honor that money by going to the gym.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with several clients over the past 20 odd years, and they take the loyalty programs from the insurance companies specifically to get the cheaper gym contract. But for heaven's sake, they've got the contract, but they've never seen the inside of the gym.
Yeah, and it's
And
wrong.
it comes all back to that psychological programming of, yes, it takes 21 days to break a bad habit, but it takes 90 days to rebuild a new neuro pathway.
And people forget that. You see, that's what they forget. They think they've done the 21 days. So now, why is it not working? But they don't understand they've got to continue for the next cycle. And that's how it
To
how it
build
works.
the new pathway, because otherwise it's easier for the brain to just go and fix up the broken one instead of trying to build the new one and making that a habit.
Absolutely, because the brain wants to protect you.
Exactly.
And it wants to protect you in your safe little zone where your mind's keeping you safe, which is not a good place to be. We need to be pushing ourselves and extending ourselves beyond. And we're too complacent too quickly, I think, as human beings.
No. Well, that brings me to our next question. You're also a front runner on Bitcoin and Bitcoin education.
I am. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about leadership development, but get me into the cryptocurrency space. I'm like over the moon passionate about that. And the reason being is because I have lost a lot of money in the cryptocurrency space. And I've made a lot of money in the cryptocurrency space. So for me, it was, I learned the hard way. I've paid the school lessons, and I don't want others to pay those same lessons. So I'd rather come alongside them, help them to understand what cryptocurrencies are, how important they are, and how they're going to impact the future. And it's important for us to realize that cryptocurrencies, there's naysayers for everything. There's naysayers for absolutely everything. And the biggest naysayer is that it's a bubble and it's going to burst. And like you look at the prices is dropping right now. Right now, as we sit here, the price is dropping, probably one of its lowest it's been this year so far. And a funny thing is now everybody's saying, oh, get out of it, get out of it, get out of it. But people who are not financially intelligent will go to Edgar's, Woolworths, when there's a sale. And they will run there when the prices drop and buy stuff on their credit cards that they don't need.
Exactly.
Now, the same thing's happening in the cryptocurrency space. And I'm saying, why are you running away from it?
Why you're not buying now?
Why are you not buying now?
But we'll discuss that further after our ad break.
Making a bold statement yet blending into the surrounding suburbs of Melville, 27 Boxes is a realization of edgy design and practical implementation. A radical departure from the shopping malls of our generation, yet not a return to the high streets of our youth. 27 Boxes showcases the best of a shopping centre set in a garden, surrounded by the bohemian suburb that is Melville. 27 Boxes, shop, play, eat.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Brandlife.co.za is thought leadership radio. It's a new way to communicate your brand your value, and what we think about your industry. Be a leader, be a voice, and we will help you shape your industry. Our radio platform is for thought leaders who want to share insights, businesses who want to create value for their databases, organizations who want to control their message, for those that drive change. Make your brand come alive on brandlive.co.za, harnessing the power of talk radio.
brandlive.co.za.
And we're back. You're listening to the Financial Independence Coach. Here with Dr. Michelle Phan, leadership expert and Bitcoin expert. Now, Dr. Michelle, before our ad break, we were talking about Bitcoin and the fact that the prices are now so low, and people not buying Bitcoins now, but yet they would run to Edgar's and Woolworths and go and shop and buy a lot of stuff that they don't need at a reduced price. But they're not doing that with Bitcoin.
It's the craziest thing. And like I said, it goes back to financial intelligence. And one of the things that I'm passionate about is, that's why I became part of the Blessing Association as well, is Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant game.
Yes.
And so all of that teaches us how to actually look after money, how we can use money to grow our assets. So one of the asset portfolios is in your cryptocurrency space. So yes, you and I have to agree, and I think every listener has to agree, that internet is here to stay.
Oh, definitely.
When it first came out, the same as cell phones, I mean, I remember there's no ways I'm going to have a cell phone. Cell phones are for yuppies, okay?
Yes.
Now we can't go without our cell phones. In fact, some of us don't even have landlines in our houses anymore because we rely mostly on our cell phones.
Exactly. I mean, when computers came out, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was it Bill Gates that
Microsoft?
said he needed only a certain amount of RAM, and that is the amount that any person will ever need. And I mean, if I look at my house today, we've got 5 laptops in the house, 4 cell phones, 5 tablets. That's where we are today.
It is where we are today. And the more and more that we're using the internet and more people are using it, so it is expanding. So I personally, when it comes to cryptocurrency space, I do not like trading. I think trading is high risk. So a lot of people lost a lot of money trading, and that's your naysayers and your big financial guys, because they normally do trading.
Yes.
And that's not a wise place to be in for the average person. Then, of course, the other thing is to buy, like now, and hold. And that's really good. So it's really low now. Buy now, let the price go, and then when you sell it. So I got into cryptos when they were about $317 for one, if I'd bought one. And I said, it's so expensive in those days. And I didn't. So I didn't buy. But if I had to sell it today, I would have made a lot of profit.
Yes.
A lot of profit. And however, if I want to now buy again, I'm going to have to buy at the current rate or price that it is.
Exactly.
So buying and holding is medium risk, okay? And if you know how to generate cash flow that can actually get you to buy new cryptos again, then I would suggest go for it. What the space I love is actually the source of anything. Okay, the source is in the actual mining of the cryptocurrencies. So I'm not only in Bitcoin, I'm in Ethereum and a couple of others as well. And the source of is where it gets produced. So once I've got the money back that I've put in, I actually don't worry about the price of what it is. So if it's $6,000 today, it's like, okay, so maybe I don't cash in all of mine that I live off at the end of the month. Maybe I'll just wait another week or two until the price goes up again. But the moment I sell it, I make more the next day, because it's about producing, and it's the source of the cryptocurrencies. So I love mining, so I'm extremely passionate about it, and that's where I help women specifically create wealth, because at the end of the day, I know what I need to live off, and I actually literally live off my cryptocurrencies, completely. And I love it. So I'm financially free. I can travel wherever I want to travel. And I love to help women. Some people might not want my household expenses, but they might just need R1,000 to help a child go to different tennis coach, or whatever it might be, school fees, those kind of things that are coming up. And the funny thing is, I don't think many people realize that their expenses are actually residual.
Yes.
because they come in every month, whether they like it or not.
Yes.
Whether they go to work or whether they don't, those expenses are coming in. So why would we want to only go for an active income, which is a job, and not create a residual income that covers the bills? So you can still work. I love working. I'm not going to retire. I mean, I am financially, I'm retired, but I can't retire because I love helping people. So at the end of the day, it's like I've got enough coming in to cover my expenses. I must now go and do what it is that I want to do and help other people. And people can get into cryptocurrencies from as little as $25 into mining.
Yes, yes.
And helping them then grow the portfolio from there. So I help women to say $25 is about 350 Rand. So what in your budget are you wasting money on? Because we all have that wasting money. We don't realize
Parkinson's
it.
law that we never track and
That we
follow.
exactly, because we don't track it. And it's that I remember when I first started tracking our income was when Anthony and I got married, which was way back in about 1996. We were tracking ours, and we were 300 Rand short every single month. Couldn't work out what it was. Couldn't work it out until we literally started tracking. Only to find that I was buying a cup of coffee every single day when I got to work.
Yes.
Instead of going to go and buy coffee in a kettle and putting it in my workplace, I would buy at the Wimpy every single day. But it cost me, and that was 300 Rand.
Snowballs.
It snowballs, and it adds up and it adds up and it adds up. So the little things, and it's when we're faithful with the little that we can make a lot.
Definitely, definitely.
And so, yeah.
And I also saw you had on your Facebook page the ATM card.
Correct, absolutely. So, what I'm going to say is, with many people think that cryptocurrencies we should not declare, because it's money that's in the sky and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, we have a responsibility to SARS. We have a responsibility to our government, and that is whatever you bring in and whatever you spend, you need to declare it because it's income.
Definitely.
So even with my debit card, I move my Bitcoin onto my debit card, but I have been fickered. So there's a printout that SARS will know about. So even though I'm using the convenience of not bringing it into my physical check account, I do go to the ATM and I can draw, I can pay. I've bought stuff, that kind of thing. And it is still a discipline and a responsibility and this is how we teach women what it is to run things through a registered company or to run things through a trust account or whatever it might be, so that you're doing things legally and by the law. Otherwise, you're going to get caught out.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't want to get caught by SARS for any kind of tax evasion, because that is just years and years and years of trouble. And to clear your name after that is just a mission.
No, it's not worth it. Do things correctly. So I help women get into the cryptocurrency space because it's the one that leverages cash flow quicker. Then I help people get into gold, and then from gold, as the portfolio expands, I help them then build up the trust portfolios. From the trust portfolios, then get into property.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, guys and girls, you heard it here. To be able to contact Dr. Michelle, I'll place all the information on my Facebook page as well as my website. And me and Dr. Michelle had come to an agreement that anybody that contacts through me, she will help set up that crypto account and give them the training that they need to start building that portfolio.
Definitely, most definitely.
Brilliant. And all my peers in the financial industry is definitely not going to like me for this. But Dr. Michelle, as one of the CEOs of the top American banks said, blockchain is here to stay. And in about 5 years' time, it's going to take it over. So get in now while the price is low.
100%.
Okay, this is all for us from this week from Brands Life and Yeffel Pty Ltd. We will see you guys again, or talk to you again rather, next week, Monday, 10:30 on brandlife.co.za. Shalom.
Harnessing the power of talk radio. brandlive.co.za.